Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the blanket portion of the moose. It's a buffalo plaid check stitch. It's really easy to make, and we actually carry the yarn up the sides, so we only have those starting tails that we need to weave. All the other tails will get carried up along the side. Now, I'm not going to show you in these colors because I do find that they're fairly dark. I'm working away on my blanket off camera, so I'm going to do a smaller swatch just to show you how to work the stitch. So the colors that I'm using for this blanket is I'm using the berry red, wine, and black. So I'm just going to use these light colors to show you how to make the blanket just so it will be easier. This is linen, white, and soft taupe, just so it's a little easier on the eyes. So I'm going to go with my taupe as being the black color that we would be starting with. So I'm going to start with the main color, and I'm going to use taupe for that. In the pattern, black is the main color. Now for our toddler size, we'll be chaining out 71. I am going to chain out a little bit smaller swatch just so we can work through it quicker. The pattern is worked in multiples of 6 plus 5. And I'll be using the larger size hook, so the 10mm crochet hook. So we'll make a slip knot. So for the toddler, you'll chain out 71, and for this demonstration, I'll just do 29. So once you have your chain, we're going to start into our pattern. We're going to work a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, but you can turn and work into the back bump of the chain. And we'll work a double crochet into the next. Now we'll chain 3. This will be our repeat. And we'll skip over 3, 1, 2, 3, and then in the next 3, we'll work a double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. We'll chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip over 3, 1, 2, 3, and a double crochet into the next 3. I'll just repeat that along. Okay, and you should be ending with 3 double crochet. So it's gonna start out looking like this. So we'll be changing color on the last stitch. So we'll be changing to color A. So we'll yarn over, and then we're gonna yarn over with color A. So I'm using, in the pattern, color A will be wine, and I'm just gonna bring in this color for the demonstration. So now we'll pull through. So now we're on to row 2 of the pattern. We'll chain 3. And we're going to skip over the double crochets that we've made. We're going to work now into these skipped stitches. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to go down into that back hump. And we want to go under the chain, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. So we're going down into the back hump of the skip chain, a little tight, and under the chain, and then we're pulling up a loop and completing our double crochet. So we're crocheting over that chain 3. Okay, and then we'll chain 3. We'll skip over these 3 double crochet and we'll work double crochets down into the skipped chains. And then we're just repeating this pattern across. Okay, so it's looking like this. I'm just going to complete mine across off camera and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so now we'll chain 3. We're coming up to the end. We're going to single crochet into the turning chain. And on that single crochet, we can change to color B. Again, we're not cutting any tails. We're leaving all of the tails. And I'm going to bring in white. Okay, so we'll pull through with white. And now for row 3, we'll chain 3. And that will count as a double crochet here and throughout. I'm just going to move my balls of yarn so that they don't get tangled. And now in this double crochet below the chain, we're going to work a double crochet. And again, we're always crocheting over that chain to secure it. So we're having these 3 stitches of color. We're chaining 3 whenever we need to skip over. 1, 2, 3. And then we're working down into 2 rows below, working into those double crochets. So we'll chain 3, skip over the double crochets, and then work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, 2 rows below. Okay, we're just repeating this all the way across. We're going to get this beautiful pattern, and as we get going here, I'll show you how we're going to carry the yarn up the side. Okay, so I'm coming to the end. Now we need to grab the main color. So here's our main color tail. So we're going to finish yarning over, finishing that double crochet stitch with our main color. Pull it through. Dropping off the white, we're just going to leave that here. So we're not going to cut B, we're just going to leave it to pick back up later. So now we'll chain 3. Turn my work, and I'm just going to move that ball over. We're skipping over and working into those double crochets, working over top of the chain as we go. Chain 3. Skipping over those 3 doubles, working into those next 3 skipped doubles. Okay, and just complete that across. I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so we're coming up to the end. I'm going to chain 3. We're single crocheting into that turning chain, and you can see here we are going to be picking up color A. So we'll start that single crochet. We'll single crochet into the turning chain. we'll drop off the main color, picking up color A. It should be, now this is just our tail that we need to weave, but the yarn that we're pulling up the side should always be here and available. Okay, and now what you're going to do is repeat rows 3 and 4 for this pattern. So row 3 will be chain 3. Turn. Actually, I can keep that here. We'll work a double crochet, chain 3. And it's very repetitive. It's an easy stitch to work, and we just won't have as many tails to weave, which with the buffalo plaid can be a little frustrating. Okay, so just continue. So we're coming to the end. Okay, and our double crochet, we're going to drop off now color A, we're going to bring in color B. Like I say, it should be right here ready to pick up. You're just going to pull it up and pull it through. And now we're repeating row 4 because we're doing that repeat of row 3 and 4. We just did row 3, so this will be row 4 again. So we'll chain 3. And then we'll skip over the 3 doubles, working into these ones. Okay, so we're just repeating this all the way across. And we're going to end row 4 with 1 single crochet in the turning chain. And you're just going to continue in these rows. I'm going to pop up now the instructions on how many rows you need to complete for the toddler size. And once you have that done, I'm going to meet you back up and we'll work on the next step. Okay, so I'm finishing with the main color and I'm on row 46. So you need to make sure that you're ending on a row 4 with your main color yarn. So what we're going to do for the final row, and I just wanted to show you, so I have this much left in black. I still have a fair amount left in my other colors, but I used a total, so you need 2 balls of each color for the blanket, and you will have some left over. So the final row to finish off the blanket, what we'll do is chain 2, and then in our stitches below, we're going to work a half double crochet and a half double crochet. Then we'll work single crochets in the next 3, and then half double crochets in the next 3. So we're just going to keep repeating this across the blanket. So in the double crochets, we'll just work singles and then half doubles in the next 3. Okay, and go ahead and repeat that across. Okay, so the blanket is measuring around 27 inches at this point. And now what we're going to do, this will be the final border around the top, but we want to finish off the edges as well. So your other 3 sides need to be finished in the black. So I'm ending with a half double crochet in that final stitch. So now what we're going to do is begin with a chain 1, and we're going to work down the side of the blanket. So for every double crochet space you see, we're going to add 2 single crochet. And this is going to cover all of that yarn that we pulled, and I'm just going to crochet over this tail that I cut as I go. But it's just going to clean up those edges, and you won't even see the yarn that we pulled up along the sides. Okay, so it's that simple. And what you can do is add 2 or 3 single crochet down in the corner and just continue all the way around. Okay, so I'm just finishing off. I'm going to slip stitch in the first stitch to join, and I just had enough to complete the border. So providing your gauge is correct, you should have enough of the black. If for some reason you don't have enough for that final border, just use one of your other colors and that would be fine, because I don't want you to have to go and purchase another ball. And then all you're going to do is go ahead and just weave all of your tails in. I'll be crocheting the moose hood in taupe gray, and I'll be using the 10mm crochet hook. So to begin, let's make a slip knot and put that on the hook. Now we'll chain out 7. We'll work an extended single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So there's 1, 2. So to make the extended single crochet, we'll go through the chain, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Work extended single crochets along the chain. Now in that final chain, I want you to add an additional stitch. And now we'll turn and work down the opposite side of the chain. In the first chain, which is basically that last stitch right here, it's easier just to work into that same space. If you can get through there, that's fine too. So there's 2 in the first. We're just doing the identical thing. So now you should be working down 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can crochet over that tail as you go. And the last chain. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is turn, chain 1, and we'll begin working. So we're working in rows, but we're going back and forth in this manner for the hood. So now for row 2, we'll work an extended single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll work 2 in each of the next 4. So you just want to go back working 2 in each of the next 4 stitches. So we've already done 1, so you're doing 3 more. You then should have 5 stitches remaining, and we'll work an extended single crochet in each of the next 5. Chain 1 and turn. So row 3, we'll work 1 extended single crochet in each of the next 6, and then we'll do 2 in the next 6, and then 1 in each of the last 6. So we're splitting it up into 6s. So an extended single crochet into the first 6. And then in the next 6, you'll add 2 in each, so increasing by 6 more stitches, and then finish off with 6 in the last. So I've completed 6, and now I'll do 2 extended singles in each of the next 6. So now you should have 6 stitches remaining, and we'll just do 1 into each of the next 6. Okay, and now, well, again, turn chain 1, and for row 4, we're just going to work 1 in every stitch. So there's no increases for this row. We're just working a total of 24 extended single crochets. So I'll complete that off camera, and then I'll meet you back up for row 5. Okay, so I've completed row 4. We'll chain 1 and turn. And now for row 5, we're going to work an extended single crochet in each of the next 8, and then we'll do 2 in each of the next 8, and then finish off with 1 in the last 8. So we're split up into 3 sections of 8. So we'll do 8, double up 8, and then finish with 8. So I'll work up my 8 stitches. So I've worked 8, so now I'm going to do 2 in each of the next 8. And I'll complete these off camera as well. And once you've done that, just finish off with 1 in the last 8. Okay, so I've completed row 5, and now we're on to row 6. And now for row 6 through to row 15, we'll just be working 1 in every stitch. So we have finished our increases. So this, looking at this, this would be the back of your hood. And as you continue to work rows, the hood is going to keep curving and folding right over so that it covers down the front, okay? So all we're doing now is just working 1 extended single crochet in every stitch for a total of 15 rows. So this is row 6. We'll go through to row 15. So I'm going to complete that off camera, and then I'll meet you up when that's complete. Okay, so I have completed my 15 rows. So as you can see, it started to fold over, and I'm ending here on my right side. So this edges out. So now what you want to do is leave a long tail, fasten off, because we'll use this to sew to the blanket. So it's easier just to leave that attached. And then this tail, you can weave back in the opposite direction. I already crocheted over it one way. So we can clean that up. And then I'm just going to give this hood a measure for you, just so you can be sure you're on track with your gauge. So it looks like we're at about, right out to the corners, we're at about 18. And the back of the hood is about 7. Okay, so the next step is to start working on the ears. I've made 1 ear backing already, and I'm going to work through the next one with you. So we're using the same color as the hood, so our color C. And let's make a slip knot and put it on the hook. And I'm dropping right down to the 6.5 millimeter hook for this. So now we'll chain 3. And in the second chain from the hook, we'll work a single crochet and a single crochet in the next chain. Chain 1 and turn. Now we're not including the chain 1 as a stitch. Work 2 single crochet in the first stitch, 2 single crochet in the next stitch. chain 1 and turn, work 1 single crochet into each stitch across. Chain 1 and turn, 2 single crochet in the first, 1 in each of the next 2, and 2 in the last. So now we're up to 6 stitches, chain 1 and turn, work 1 single crochet in every stitch across. So we're increasing 1 row and then working across 1 row. Chain 1 and turn. So we'll increase again in the first stitch, work across 1 to the last stitch. In the last stitch, we'll add 2, chain 1 and turn, and now we'll work 1 single crochet in every stitch across for a total of 8 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now for row 8, we'll do a decrease. So we'll chain 1, do a single crochet decrease. So we're going to go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Work across 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and then decrease the last 2. So we've now decreased to 6 stitches, chain 1 and turn. We're going to work across 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then add 2 in the last. 1, 2. Now we're going to work up the side of the ear, and make sure when you're doing this you do equal numbers of stitches on each side so your ear's even. So I like to just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now in the tip right here of our ear we're going to add 3 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3. Give your tail a pull and that will pull that hole. And now we want to work down 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we would need an extra stitch down here in the corner so we match up with how we started. Slip stitch to join, leaving a long tail for sewing. Okay, so now I have both of the back pieces of my ear complete. I'm now going to grab our dark taupe color for the inside piece of the ear. Okay, so now we'll work the inside piece, which we're doing in color D, which is the dark taupe color. And we're using, again, the smaller hook. So let's make a slip knot, put that on the hook, and we'll start out with a chain 3. Work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook and the next chain. Chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 is not included as a stitch here and throughout. We'll work 2 in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the last. Chain 1 and turn. We'll work 2 single crochet in the first, 1 in the next 2. Chain 1, work 2 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 and turn, work 2 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We now have a total of 6 stitches. Chain 1, turn our work, and 1 single crochet in each of the next 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so now for row 7, we'll chain 1 and turn, and we're doing a decrease for this row. So we'll decrease the first 2 through all 3, work across 1, 2, and we'll decrease the last 2 as well. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, so now we'll begin the edging. So we'll work across 1, 2, 3. We'll add 2 single crochet in the final stitch for our corner, and then we'll work up across. And remember, just like the outer piece, we want even numbers on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the tip we're going to add 3. 1, 2, 3. Pull that tight, and then we'll work down 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll do a final stitch in the corner and slip stitch to join. And we'll fasten off with a long tail for sewing. Okay, so now what you want to do is place the ear pieces together, and we're going to sew. I find sometimes it's easier to fold your ears out like this. We're going to sew this inner piece to the outer piece. Okay, so one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to sew into the nice stitching. So what I'm going to do is make sure to grab just a piece of the yarn below that stitch, and then I'm going through the back loop only. Just like that. And we're just going to do this all the way around the ear. And now once you're all the way around, you're going to want to take your ear, we want to pinch it to give it its shape. So I'm going to take this yarn and just sew that so that it pulls the ear together. Then you can just weave in your tails. And what I'll do also with this yarn is sew it together at the bottom here as well, before attaching it to the hood. Okay, so I'm going to complete the other ear and then I'll meet you back up. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how to make the antlers. It's done here in 3 pieces. So this is the larger piece, and then we have our smaller pieces here. Okay, so we're going to begin with the large base, and I'm using color D, which is the dark taupe, with the 6.5mm crochet hook. So we'll make a magic circle, magic ring, slide your hook through all the loops, and we'll chain 1 and then work 6 single crochet. Now we'll want to pull the ring tight. And we're going to slip stitch to join. Now I'm going to show you a little tip for slip stitching. Sometimes that first single crochet is tight, so if you just stick a yarn needle in, it'll help to loosen it. We're going to do a reverse slip stitch join. So keep your yarn to the front of your work. You're going to take your hook, push it through the stitch back to front. Just grab the yarn, pulling it through. We'll now chain 1 and work 6 single crochet. 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, we'll slip stitch to join, but we need to do the reverse. So we're going back to front. Chain 1. Now we'll do an increase. So we'll work 1 single crochet in the first stitch and the next stitch. And in the next stitch, we'll work 2 single crochet. 1 in each of the next 2. And then 2 in the last stitch. And we'll do the reverse slip stitch to join. Chain 1. And now we'll work 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So we're going to do basically an increase round and then a round without any increases. So this round we're working around 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and reverse slip stitch to join. Then we'll chain 1 and we're going to do another increase round. So we'll work 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll do an increase. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. Reverse slip stitch to join. Chain 1. And this round we'll just work 1 in every stitch around for a total of 10 stitches. Okay, and I've completed that, and now we'll work another increase round. So we'll work 1 in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 in the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 in the next. So now we've increased 12 stitches. The next round, I'll just work 1 in every stitch around. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. We'll slip stitch to join, chain 1, and this will be the final increase. We'll work 1 single crochet in each of the next 5. Work 2 in the next. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 in the next. So now we've increased to 14 stitches. Reverse slip stitch to join, chain 1, and doing that, it just makes the join not quite as noticeable. For round 10, we'll work 1 single crochet into every stitch around. Okay, and we can stuff this with some fill before we get too far along. Okay, and now for rounds 11 through 18, we're just working 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 14 stitches. So now what you can do is just complete those rounds. Once you have them completed, we'll meet up again. So work rounds now 11 through 18, 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Okay, so I've now worked a total of 18 rows, and I'm just going to measure it for you just so you have an idea of the size. So it's about 7.5 inches long. We flatten it out, it's about 3 inches. Now what we can do is fasten off with a tail for sewing. And I'm not going to add more stuffing yet. I'm just going to show you how we can bend the antler, because we want the antler to kind of go like this and have that bend to it. So I'm going to show you a little trick. You want to cut off a piece of yarn about 12 inches. And we can make a knot at the end here. So now take your yarn needle and push. We want to get this all the way up, and that's why I said maybe not to worry about putting some more stuffing till we do this part. So push it all the way up so your needle comes out the top. Pull that through. The knot should stop it from coming out. Now what we're going to do is take our yarn needle and we're going to run it. You can still see that slip stitch join, those loops here. We're going to run it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 rounds. Then in the next stitch, we can go under and pull the yarn down. I'm pulling stuffing out. Stuff that back in there. Now, what this is going to do when we pull, it's going to pull that like this. So we get that curve that we want. And then what we can do, we need to secure this so that it doesn't, I'm just going to make a little knot here, and then that's secured. So now we have the little bend, and now I can finish stuffing up my antler. You can always use your crochet hook or something to help shove the stuffing in. You don't want to overstuff it because you want it to be bendable. Okay, so next you need to make the little stalks, and you need to make 4 in total. I've already made 2 for this antler and 1, so I'm just showing you how to make the last one. So with a magic ring, we'll chain 1 and work 6 single crochet in the ring. And now we'll pull the ring tight. And you can choose really either to continue doing the reverse slip stitch, or you could just do regular slip stitch. It's not going to be as noticeable on this little piece, but I'm just going to be consistent and do the reverse slip stitch. So now I want you to do 2 more rounds at only 6 stitches. So just working 1 in every stitch. So I'm going to work those 2 rounds off camera and then I'll meet you back up. Okay, and now we can do an increase. So we'll work, so round 4, 1 single crochet in each of the next 2, and then 2 single crochet in the next, 1 in each of the next 2, and then 2 single crochet in the next. And we'll reverse slip stitch to join, chain 1, and we'll work just 1 now in every stitch around. So we should have 8 stitches. Okay, and now we will fasten this off with a tail for sewing. I shoved my little tail in there, which gives it a little bit of stuffing, but you can shove just a tad more stuffing in there as well. So now for sewing the stalks onto the antler, we're just going to put them on here just like this. So this is where our join is with the curve, and then just place one here, and then you can just sew it on by going through the antler and then going through the stitch of the stalk. And I like to also just make sure that I place them in about the same for each antler. So that's basically all there is to this. It's not difficult. You're just going to sew one here, place the next one on about here, and just sew it in place. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Okay, so next we'll work on the muzzle, and I'm using color C with the smaller hook. We'll make a magic ring. Chain 1 and work 10 half double crochet in the ring. Okay, so we'll just tighten up this ring. And we'll slip stitch to join. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. Now we'll chain 1, and we'll work 2 single crochet in every stitch around. So working 2 single crochet in every stitch around, we're increasing to 20 stitches, and I'll just work that up off camera. And we'll slip stitch to join, chain 1, and round 3 we'll work 1 in every stitch around. So again, staying at the 20 stitch mark. Okay, and for round 4, we'll do another increase round. So we'll work a single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 in the next. 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. And just repeat that all the way around for a total of 30 stitches. Okay, so now for rounds 5 through 7, we're just going to work 1 in every stitch around. So 5, 6, 7, 3 more rounds now. We'll just work 1 in every stitch around, staying at the 30 stitch mark. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and then I'll meet you back up. Okay, so I finished up my 7th round. We'll slip stitch to join. And now for round 8, we're going to do some decreases. So we'll chain 1, work a single crochet in each of the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we'll decrease the next 2. So go through, pulling up a loop, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. 1, 2, 3, and then decrease stitch 4 and 5. Okay, and just repeat that all the way around. Okay, so you should be ending with a decrease. I've slip stitched to join, and now round 9, we'll just work 1 in every stitch around at 24 stitches. Okay, and now for round 10, we're going to do some more decreases. Let's chain 1, work a single crochet in the first 2 stitches, and then a single crochet decrease across the next 2. So 1, 2, and single crochet 2 together. 1, 2, single crochet 2 together. And just repeat that all the way around. Okay, and now we're down to 18 stitches. Chain 1. For round 11, we'll just work 1 in every stitch around, 1 single crochet. Okay, we'll slip stitch to join. And now for round 12, we'll chain 1, work a single crochet in the first, and a single crochet 2 together across the next 2. So single crochet, and then we're doing a decrease across the next 2. And just repeat this all the way around. Okay, and now we'll work 1 single crochet in every stitch around for round 13. Okay, and for round 14, we are going to do another decrease. So chain 1, work 1 single crochet in each of the next 4, 2, 3, 4. We'll do a decrease, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. Okay, so we've reduced to 10 stitches. Slip stitch to join. Okay, so now we'll fasten off with a long tail. And what we're going to do to create our muzzle now is we're just pressing this together. So it's like a 3-dimensional. So it's going to look like this going on the hood now. So I know it seems weird as you're working it together, but this makes it puff out nice and gives us that really nice moose shape that we're after. Okay, so next we can add some nostrils. So you just want to pull off a couple long strands. Just so that you have lots. And we're going to sew these to the 6th round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right in here, we can just add with the dark taupe. And we can just go back and forth just to thicken this up. Okay, so there's one, and then we can just knot that to the inside and give it a trim. just try to put them on there even. Okay, so something like that, and you can just knot and trim these ends. Okay, so what I like to do now that all the pieces are made is just lay them out how they're going to sit on the hood. So what we're gonna do is first sew on our muzzle piece. You're gonna get your little eyes and just some worsted weight yarn or thread to sew on the eyes. And just kind of see how he looks. I like to kind of lay everything out just to get an idea before sewing things on. So now when we're sewing on the muzzle piece, we don't want to go in to this bottom stitch down here. On the larger sizes, you will have a little bit more hood space. We're kind of a little tight for hood space with the toddler. Now you also can add a little bit of your fill here as well, the polyester fiber fill, just to make sure, but this, like if it gets pushed, it'll dent in, but overall it is pretty sturdy. So just make sure that you have it evenly placed. And then what we'll do is just start sewing it to the hood. Just make sure you're only going through here the one side of the hood, not both sides. Just kind of picking up a little bit of yarn from the hood and going through the muzzle piece. And you're just going to sew this all the way around. Okay, so next I've got this all sewn on, and next I'm going to sew on the antlers. So depending on the size you're working on, I don't know, I just kind of like to get them positioned. So I'm going at about this row right here. You just want to make sure they're even, and we're going to be needing to get those little ears in there as well. I always suggest with this, don't weave any of your tails until you get all, like both of your antlers and your ears sewn on. Try the hood on and make sure that everything is positioned correctly, and then weave your tails once you're satisfied. So I'm going to go down here to this row. And when I sew the antler, I'm making sure I'm sewing it all the way around like this. So it's really has a base to sit on, like your head will be there holding it. So it should hold in place as long as you sew it around like that. So it's hard to show that on camera, but okay, so I'm just going to continue sewing around. Okay, so I've gone around the entire antler. And now what we want to do is just try to make sure we sew this one on in the similar location. So right about here. Now, as you can see, I've left this tail, so if I need to make any adjustments, I can. So I'm going to continue again with this off camera because it's easier for me to sew it, and then I'll meet you up again. Okay, so I'm happy with the antler placement. So now we're getting to the ears, and the ears will also help support these antlers standing up when the hood is on. So I'm just going to sew this now. Get these ears sewn in. So when we're sewing the ear, we just want to get it right in under the antler piece. I'm going to move that I have my tail at the front. Okay, so I'm just going to sew it in there like that. I have noticed that I think this antler is a little too far this way, so I am going to pull it back and try to pull it in a little bit closer in here. Okay, so I've sewn the ears, and when I'm sewing them, I'm going all the way up the back, in, along in here. So sewing all the way around, kind of like what we did with the antlers. It can be frustrating doing this part, trying to get everything even. Just try your best. I needed to pull the one antler back to try to move it over a little bit. I think it's looking a little bit better. This ear maybe needs to slightly come up a little bit. But now what you want to do is just try the hood on yourself or on someone, just to make sure that your pieces are going to balance, and make sure everything is how you want it before you weave in these tails, because once you weave the tails in, you really don't want to be trying to pull anything off. So I'm just going to leave those. I'm going to try mine on myself as well, because just in case I need to make adjustments. And then we've got the eyes that we can sew on. So I just put the little pieces in just so I can kind of see how they'll look. And depending if you're working on one of the larger sizes, your eyes may be able to go up a little bit higher. I think mine are going to have to come down here like this. So I'm just going to sew those on. You're just going to put them through the hood and knot the backs and trim them. That's all you need to do. Okay, so I have the eyes on, and I'm just using 20 mil size for the toddler size hood. So I'm just going to go now try on my hood, make sure everything is in place, and then I'll weave in those ends. Okay, so we're going to make the hooves for the moose, and I'll be making 2 of them, and we're working them in color C with the smaller hook. So we'll make a magic ring, and we'll work a chain 1 and 8 single crochet in the ring. Pull the ring tight. And we'll slip stitch to join. Chain 1. So now for round 2, we'll work 2 single crochet in every stitch around. Okay, so we'll be increasing to 16 stitches. Slip stitch to join, and now for rounds 4 through 9, we're just going to work 1 in every stitch around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Okay, so I've worked up 9 rounds, and for the final round, I'm going to work a single crochet in the next two, and then I'm going to do a decrease. Single crochet in the next two, and then a decrease. And I'm just repeating this all the way around. And then slip stitch to join. Fasten off with a tail. And now to make, we want to keep this to the outside. Now to make our little hoof shape, we can use the tail that we started with, and we're just going to pinch it just to give it a little bit of shape. And you can use this, I didn't have a very long tail, but you can use the tail if your tail's not long enough, or that's okay, you can just join on. I like to just make a little knot just to pinch that together. And then I'm just going to weave the tail. So now you just want to make one more so that you have two. Okay, so I finished weaving in my tails. I finished off all the edging. So the blanket is measuring about 36 inches wide by 27 inches long. And now the next step is to sew on the hood. So I just laid my hood out, made sure I had it evenly spaced. So I have about 17 stitches on this side, 17 on this side, and I'm going to sew the hood now between the markers. It's really simple. You're just going to lay your hood out. So the back of the hood to the right side here of the blanket, we're going to use the tail that we left attached to the hood. And then what we're going to do is just go through a stitch of the blanket and sewing through along the back row here of the hood. Sometimes I just like to go through that first stitch twice. And then you can just go ahead and sew the hood directly here to the edge of the blanket. So I'll complete that off camera. Okay, so the hood is now sewn onto the blanket. Now, it's not really necessary to do edging across the hood. You could work across, there is enough left in the moose color. You could do a single crochet edge across the hood, but I really think that it looks okay just as is, so I'm going to leave it without adding any extra. So now that the hood is on, our final step is just to add on the little mittens. So what we're going to be doing is sewing them right to the side. So you're just sewing them to the top edge of the blanket. So I like to have it so that the little hoof part comes out this way. So I sew that part down. And then you're just sewing, going through a stitch of the blanket over to the stitch of the mitten, leaving it open here. So we just do that to both sides. Okay, and then you can just weave your tail. Go one way, and then you can take it back in the opposite direction. Okay, so I'll just sew my other one on as well. Okay, so then the little mittens are on, and that completes the hooded moose blanket. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.